Absolutely. What happened on October 7th?
Whoo! Damn, you asked all the good questions.
Collins Conversations, I'll let you introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, kind of what you do, and break it down from there.
Got you. My name is Antoine Dunn. I'm a recording artist, music producer, and record executive.
And I've known you for years. You're from Cleveland, Ohio?
Yes, I am.
Born and raised?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. East Side.
And where are you out of now?
New York.
And what made you make that move from Cleveland all the way to New York City?
Well, I still have roots here in Cleveland, so I'm back and forth. But the thing is, a lot of my colleagues that I worked with on this new album were based in New York. You know what I mean? So I felt that it was imperative just to kind of like spend a lot more time in the market and just have a presence. So definitely we'll be spending a ton more time there in Atlanta and even in LA as well.
And you're not only have you lived in different places, but you've also lived internationally. Didn't you live in, was it Malaysia for a few months?
Thailand.
Thailand.
Yeah, I lived in Thailand. That was an amazing experience. I love the Thai people. So if there are any Thai people watching, you're my family. Very hospitable, wonderful place, tropical climate. It was all good. Yeah, it was all good, man.
And what took you there? Was that just you found a music gig, or?
Yeah, so at the time I was a music director for a top 40 pop band by the name of Centric. So what we were doing is we had a contract with Hard Rock International. If you're familiar with the Hard Rock Resort conglomerate, we had a contract with them to play hard rocks in Southeast Asia. So yeah, no, that was really cool, man.
And what type of influence would you say that experience had on your making music after that? Or maybe even not making music, but seeing where you could take music?
I think that experience really enhanced my musical vocabulary, because when your job is to play, 50 songs in a night, and those songs are all by other artists, it really gives you an idea of how all these different songs seem to correspond musically, and it also enhances your music vocabulary. So that when you sit down to create your own work, you can include those influences in your work as well. So that when you sit down to create your own work, you can include those influences in your work as well.
I was listening to everything you said. That's why we always have two cameras rolling. I
There we go.
That shouldn't have gone black that fast.
Right.
But Hard Rock Cafe, to me, that seems like you kind of keep still an American vibe when you're over there, though. Or is it really their culture at that point, or do you have to really go off the reservation to really get into that culture?
Yeah, I think that it is American, but at the same time, anytime you take American music and you present it in any other environment, and particularly a geographic territory, just the appreciation and the interaction with the music is what's inherently different than here, and that in itself creates a whole nother cultural experience, as it relates to the music. So yeah, it was a very much American experience, like home away from home, but at the same time, you're in another country and everything's different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with anybody from those times?
Yeah, absolutely, man. When I was over there, I was blessed to produce a record for a group by the name of Dear Dorothy. One of my dear friends, his name is Dia, and he's a consummate professional, music producer, writer, arranger. I had a chance to do some work with them while I was over there. It was a great experience. Keep in contact with him and a lot of people. Facebook makes the world go round.
Absolutely, yeah. Facebook's amazing. Like kind of like you said, if Thailand's watching, that just means a couple dollars a day. Let's shoot that out to Thailand.
Right.
Does anybody remember Antoine from what was that 2010 or whatever?
2010, 11, yeah, early 2011. That was great. A couple of radio personalities that I keep in contact with over there with BBC Radio and a couple other radio conglomerates. Thailand was great, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Let's go back deeper into the music. For those that have never heard your music, how would you describe it? Can you put a genre on it? I've just heard some new stuff that's coming out, which, you know, the new title, Everything, with You Do Everything, but can you put a label on what you produce?
Oh, no. I mean, I fundamentally just don't believe in genres at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? However, that's just kind of like what we have to do from a music marketing standpoint.
Right.
You know, we have to find a way to attach a genre and a barcode and a core demographic to market to. But that's the business side of things from a creative standpoint. That's like saying I believe that the ability to create comes from the gods or the universe, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And with respect to that, the gods and the universe are limitless. So, you know, you can't really limit them.
Right.
So how could you limit creativity? I mean, you really can't. So the way I describe my music is that I call it the good kind. That's the genre that I subscribe to. And with respect to that, and saying that, for any other listener who hears it, they call it whatever, you know, if they listen to it and they say, hey, this is R&B or this is pop or this is soul, right, they can do that. But you're not going to hear me say that it's R&B or it's, you know, nah, I'm not going to say that. It's just good.
Right. Yeah, I had a rapper, local guy, Curly Chuck. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I never heard of him, man.
You have to look into him. Really creative. Both lyrical rapper, but also kind of like the emotional kind of songwriter as well.
Yeah.
But he had a quote on the show saying, you know, don't put yourself in a box. Like, don't label yourself just as a rapper or as a producer. Like, learn as much as you can and kind of just keep growing as an artist. Like, kind of like you're saying. Don't put yourself as, oh, I just sing. Like,
gotcha. Why
don't you try something else too? You know, kind of take that and build off that.
Yeah, totally.
A couple segments that we have on the show. First one, let's go through. We just started this one with the Jamil Show. I call this the elevator pitch game. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go through your discography real quick. I want to say a song, and kind of just like you have a quick elevator pitch. You get 20 seconds to say right to the camera, what should people know about that song?
Oh God.
That's the reaction I was hoping for.
Yeah, well, forgive my answers in advance.
Forgive them in advance. Let's start off with, actually, let's make this not the full digital, because I have, from 2012, still have the project over here.
Dang, let me see that.
Disc isn't in there, but I still have this album.
I don't even have this.
I have, the disc is somewhere still at my mom's house. I ran over there and found that. That's still when you have album artwork, everything. A full back page of thank yous. Back when it was a whole nother process of putting out kind of music, right?
Wow.
Blast from the past. Common Conversations, trying to be Nardwuar, pulling out that shit from
crazy,
the past.
man. That's nostalgic as hell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, first on the elevator pitch, Can't Forget. One of my favorite songs of yours, but...
Wow. A song that was brought to me by a dear friend. It talks about something that everybody else goes through. That everybody goes through at some point. Is that one person that you can't forget, and it's like, oh man, that hurts so bad to even think about this person. But at the end of the day, even though it hurts to think about them, I still have to acknowledge, you know, their contribution to making me who I am in my development as a human being.
Kind of sidestep from that one, just another question I had for you. You have a remix to Can't Forget, with some Cleveland legendary people on there. How did that collaboration happen?
Well, some of my radio people at the time in New York were talking about, you know, who we could attach to the record to continue to tell the narrative of like, hey, you know, Cleveland guy doing some big things, you know, who could we attach to it? And then, you know, Bone Thugs came up, you know, Kid Cudi, a lot of people came up. And just so happened that, you know, Crazy really showed a lot of interest in wanting to hop on the record. We were like, hey, let's put him on the record.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
When as soon as you said that, kind of like going through the list in my head, I was like, who Cleveland person? Because, you know, like you listen to that song and it's really, you know, real, like joyful, I think would be the word.
Yeah.
And then like you don't really attach that with the Bone Thugs. You're thinking more dark and deep, and, you know,
right.
Like the way that he just like, you know, the harmony and everything, the way he was able to carry it, like it really blended well with it. What can you tell us about Miss My Love?
Woo! Well, Miss My Love is a song about someone who was very special to me at one point. If there's a buzzer, I would hit that. I would hit that mug right now. You know, that one, you know?
One of those you gotta eat the highway now.
right. But yeah, no, that's one of those Babyface songs where, you know, I remember Babyface saying that he wrote all these songs about one breakup. Like, that's how impactful it was. So, Miss My Love, I mean, I wrote 76 songs about this situation. Yeah, no, legit, 76. Right. And song number 76 was called Truth of the Matter. But, and that's why that album was called that. But song number 75 is called Miss My Love. So.
And kind of sidestep from there too, because you're bringing up all these good things that carry to other parts of what I normally try to get to is, how do you know when a song is ready to release? Like you said, the same idea you did 75 different ways. How do you know when it's the time where you're like, all right, I want to put that out for the masses?
I think it's a combination of things. Primarily, like, you know, having a good song is one thing, but having a good recording is a different thing. So a lot of times when you're an independent and you're doing your own thing, excuse me, it's about being ready for opportunities to where you're aligned with either capital or resources to where you can produce those bodies of work at the highest level possible so that they can be commercially viable. So, you know, for me, it's like, that's why I have a lot of songs in my catalog, just unreleased songs that are just kind of like, hey, well, these songs are for a future opportunity. I don't know what that opportunity is, but every song has a home, and I think that is very much aligned with opportunities for those songs. You know what I mean? Songs can take you different places. When you got songs sitting in the catalog, when somebody calls and say, hey, we need a song for ESPN, or we need a song for this, or we want to sign you to a 2-album deal, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the catalog. I got 1,000 songs, so you know I can pick 10 for each album. Right. Yeah, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, give me a check. You know, like.
Within that catalog, years ago you were touring with Anthony Hamilton. Anything with him in the catalog?
We worked on a lot of records. None of them made the album. But with respect to that question, you know, he was in the studio with me when I did a song called Stand Tall. And matter of fact, we were in Vegas for the Soul Train Awards, and we were recording at the world famous Palms, the recording studio at the Palms, you know, resort. So, but yeah, he was there for that. Unfortunately, none of the records that we were actually working on together actually, you know, made the album. But we had several sessions in Charlotte and, you know, Vegas, Cleveland. But yeah, no, Anthony's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he's I don't know him personally, obviously, but like through his music, it just seems like a completely genuine type dude.
Yeah, I would 100% agree, man. I'll never forget, not to take it too far off schedule, but I'll never forget, man, when I was younger, I used to always listen to his records, and I used to always say to myself, like, man, this guy reminds me of me, you know, like, and
I can see that, like a Southern Antoine.
Yeah, like a Southern Antoine that wears, like, you know, big brim hats and, you know, shit like that. But I'll never forget, man, I had on my first tours, one of the first dates was in, what's that place in Louisiana called?
New Orleans?
Yeah, sorry everybody. Not that New Orleans wasn't memorable. Like, it's, if you're from there, like, it's a great place. So yeah, we had this show at the House of Blues, man, and I can remember walking into the venue, and I'll never forget, you know, I turn around, Anthony Hamilton walks in and he looks at me, he goes, Mr. Dunn. And I'm just like, I almost lost my shit. Like, oh man, Anthony Hamilton is, he knows my name before I even.
He noticed you before you even noticed him.
Yeah, before, you know, and I think that's, it says something about his character, level of humility that he has, you know what I mean? And, you know, him wanting to see me win, you know, and pretty much hand selecting me to do, you know, those few tours with him. So definitely thankful for him. But yeah, that was a really great experience, though.
Does the dynamic change once you meet your heroes and kind of, you know, you're rubbing shoulders with a lot of guys that you listened to growing up and things like that? Do you view anybody different after meeting them, or what's that like meeting your idols?
You know, I nothing really changes for me. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I've always had a a high sense of belonging in that conversation, whether I was there or not. Like I always felt like, yeah, my name needs to be in this conversation with these guys. I always had a high sense of worth in terms of my work. You know what I mean, and my commitment to the art. So with respect to that, when I meet them and they're like, not to sound arrogant, but when they're like, hey man, your stuff's pretty okay, man. It's like, well, it's like, thanks, man. Yours is too.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, no, nothing really changes. I think the only thing that changes is, when you can look in your phone and you can see people's names in there.
Right.
It's just like you're scrolling through like they're just anybody else, and they are. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
people, but they're influencers, though. So I think that's cool, just to be able to text somebody and be like, hey, what's up? Whatever. But nothing changes, man. Yeah.
You've always been a good person at networking and kind of just getting your personality and getting support behind what you want to do. For anybody that's listening or watching, do you have any networking tips of how to, because they always say if you're the smartest person in the room, get out and network with people that are better than you. What tips do you have to kind of take, even if you don't have the resources now, to level up and meet people that could help you get to where you want to go?
I mean, the best experience that I could give anyone pursuing anything in entrepreneurship, but especially in music, is, you have to understand the art of leverage, which, in my mind simply says, like, how do you, tilt the table towards you? If it's like 100 pennies on the table and the game is, whoever can collect the most pennies wins, how do you tilt the back of the table so that all the damn pennies just roll to you? And that's a conversation in positioning. And what I mean is, like, one of my mentors used to tell me, he's like, how do you change the conversation from Antoine's like everybody else to here's everybody else and here's Antoine? And it could be as simple as doing something like going to Thailand.
Right.
Or, it could be as simple as like hiring a certain, collaborator to work on your project, even if they cost more than the guy that you have access to in your network.
Right.
Those type of, we call them talking points. And it's like when you have those additional talking points, the narrative is more interesting. And that's the leverage that you need a lot of times to break through. And just commitment, too. Like, just stick with it. I mean, don't think it's going to come easy.
Right.
It ain't.
Right.
It's kind of simple. It's just like, know what you want, but know that it's not going to happen when you want it to happen. And just stick with it. You'll get there.
Absolutely. I was just having that same conversation with my wife last night.
Yeah.
I've been doing landscaping for like 10 plus years, and I had that down, but I couldn't find the right work dynamic to get labor to help scale it and grow it. And I just had enough of, sell 15 more accounts and then I'm doing 80 yards by myself. Like, I had enough of it. So I was like, I like doing the marketing part of landscaping. So why don't I try to break away from that and just do full on marketing? Which, I mean, you've done similar ventures where you like,
oh, absolutely.
The founding stages of that is so many highs and lows of where you're like, yesterday you're like, fuck, ramen noodles sound expensive. And then at the same day where you're at that low, you're like, oh, I just sold 600 articles to write. That'll keep me busy for the next 3 weeks. So I've got that little window now of work comes, work goes. You do good work, you put out good music, you put out good content, work comes back.
Right.
And a lot of people, instead of doing that, go for that 9 to 5 where you're stuck at it, which to me, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, even as a kid, where like you said, that counting pennies, I used to be in my fucking room every night. I knew how many pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters I had.
Right.
Like, you're like, and how can I take these and make more of them?
Right.
Kind of, it's always been in me. But I think a lot of people, like we said off camera, that musicians especially think that because you could go upload everything to SoundCloud, iTunes, things like that, you could record everything. You and I right now have more power in this room than people ran the entire country until 20 years ago. Like, it's crazy when you put that, like, access to technology. But people are kind of just, auto-tune and a quick verse, things like that. And I think a lot of music, I think what separates yours, not only do you put time into the production of it, but you're a storyteller. Like you said, every track on this album, every track on everything you've done, like listening to it, it's a story, and you're using the background music kind of as the climax of the story is coming. Like, how, as a person, do you tell a better story?
I think that the key in telling a good story is telling a true one first. You know what I mean? I think that from a creative standpoint, many artists are in the art of telling, fictional stories. To me, I can't really attach to stories that aren't real. When people will ask, well, why does it take so long to do this, or why does it take so long to do that? Well, at the end of the day, you can't create art if you haven't lived life, because, well, for me,
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, you can't rush art because you can't rush life. That's like me saying I'm gonna live a year in a month.
Right.
No, that's not gonna happen. Like, your ass is gonna literally live a whole year.
Right.
And you gotta sit here and be patient, and at the end of that year, you'll have a year's worth of things to talk about. There's no shortcut. At the end of the day, you want to talk about relationships, you gotta be in a relationship.
Right.
You gotta see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Either it works or it don't work. And if it don't work, then you got all the stories about it. Like,
right.
The good times, the bad times, the other times, oh man, we about to get this together. Oh shit, it really didn't work at all. Well, no, good try.
Right.
Moving on, and those are the song titles that you get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
You're wearing a couple different things that say the same thing. What can you tell me about Harvey Marie Records?
Wow. Harvey Marie Records is my first venture in entrepreneurship that's directly related to music. This is my own label, and it's a legacy piece for me. Most people know that my mom passed back in 2011. Her dad's name is Harvey.
Okay.
And my grandmother also passed on my dad's side, and her name's Gladys, but her middle name's Marie. A lot of people refer to her as Marie.
Gotcha.
So I was thinking, how can I make this a legacy, piece, and still have a catchy kind of ring to it, something that can be branded, put on a T-shirt, on a hat, on whatever. And I was like, Eureka, like Harvey Marie, So Harvey Marie Records is, it's my baby, but at the same time, it's my legacy, and I hope that it's something that not just my family and friends that I know can be proud of, but just independent, artists around the world and entrepreneurs can be proud of. You know what I mean? This is something that it literally developed organically, like literally, from the slogan to the logo to the mission statement. Like it literally just developed over time. Like I didn't plan it; it just happened. So it's just kind of like. And that's just how I live my life, man. I call it just being in the flow, man. It's like I'm in the flow of life. I don't try to block anything. I let bad shit happen to me.
And you're open to good shit.
Yeah, it's all good. Like at the end of the day, you can't. Well, you gonna think nothing bad is ever gonna happen,
right?
And I don't even think of my life in the context of good and bad anymore. You know what I mean? I think of my life in the context of good and other. Anything that I used to call bad, like I just put it in the other category, because man, I'm a king at like turning a negative into a positive picture.
Absolutely.
It ain't nothing but creativity.
Yeah, I would say that negative things are just a learning experience to how to make something better. You could either be lazy and take the negative and then all life sucks, or
right.
You're like, oh well, yesterday my fucking shoe ripped. Maybe I should not wear that pair of shoes anymore. Kind of get me a better pair of shoes, and my back feels better. And kind of using each negative thing to be like, how can I make that better? Like you said earlier, no excuses and keep moving.
Yeah, you gotta just keep moving forward.
What made you want to go start the label thing? You said it kind of happened organically, but is it kind of just your interest in not only producing your own stuff, but also kind of bringing out the talent of others?
Well, I mean, I think just to back up a little bit, in the years between the Truth of the Matter record and this record, I did a lot into learning a lot about my entrepreneurship, and I was instrumental in starting several companies and being involved, and I've always loved business, and I think that's just something that a lot of people don't really know about me. When you're presented as an artist, people are like, oh yeah, well that dude's an artist or he's a singer. You know, you hear a song on the radio and the person's singing, they're gonna think, oh, he's a singer. They're not gonna think, oh, he's a singer and a businessman and a music producer and a this and a that. You know, because at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I hear a guy singing to me on the radio, and that's just kind of it. So, to get back on point, it's just like in that time, I really learned a lot about business, and I didn't plan to exit those business ventures.
Right. But they just kind of popped up and ran with it.
Yeah, but they popped up, and then the universe kind of popped me right on out of them.
Right.
And then I rolled those assets, you know, literally and figuratively, and from a knowledge standpoint, into what I'm doing right now. So it's a lot of things that I learned working on other projects that now I want to use all of that knowledge to build Harvard Marie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the entrepreneurship side, a lot of people, when you think of artists, you think they're either getting money from streaming or that's about it nowadays. You know, like you said, you don't even have CDs anymore.
Yeah.
What are 3 ways that people can make money off of music that they might not have already thought of? That are kind of those, aha, I should have been doing that all along.
I would say, you know, advertising, synchronization, and you know, I would say advertising, synchronization, and you know, commercial application. You know, I think that a lot of people don't actively pursue assigning, you know, their songs to advertising opportunities, even local advertising opportunities. You know, it's a lot of low-lying fruit, you know, locally and regionally. When you look at entities that have the budgets to actually be able to, you know, align whatever, you know, visual element they have with your music, you know, i.e. like, you know, car dealerships or, you know, entities that have a vested interest in pushing several, you know, either semi-annual or quarterly initiatives. You know, you think of a car dealership, you know, they're gonna do a year-end thing.
I mean, they're doing a year-end thing. They're doing every holiday. A car dealership is a great one to kind of think any advertising or marketing to try to get into.
Right.
And like you're saying, for a commercial and things, I make videos all day long, and when you listen to just 2 people talking, it's boring as shit.
Right.
A lot of the time. Like, of an hour interview, there's 20 or 30 minutes that you were like, oh, even on a great interview, you know, like I'm sure you've done interviews where you're like, oh, that was great. And then you see all the footage and you're like, oh, there's a lot of dull time
Right,
to have the right music
right.
behind it, or to
Right.
have a song to kind of amp it up. Like, it's amazing. Visual, you think video visual, but really the audio part of video is so much more important, whether it's, you know, the background, whether it's talking, any of that.
Yeah.
What makes for a good recording in your mind? Because you're also a producer and singer, so you kind of know both sides of the board.
Yeah.
What separates a good recording from a bad recording, in your opinion? Because it is kind of subjective.
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer because.
Or is there anything that could ruin a recording?
Yeah, yes, but that it's really tough to answer.
Gotcha.
And the reason it's tough to answer is because the answer is hardly that linear. Like it's
Right.
not point A to point B.
Totally.
You know, because in some scenarios, I'll give you an example. I had songs on the Truth of the Matter record that I used a sample from a recording on a BlackBerry from a rehearsal, and then it ended up being turned into a song.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times in a song, I think it's about the vibe and it's a feel. You know, certain elements of a song have a feel and they have a vibe. So I think the experience comes in with knowing what elements in a song can or should be low resolution or can be kind of, you know, weird. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the bathroom
Right.
and you know you're brushing your teeth and you get a sound bite of somebody calling you and you're like, oh man, shit, that sounds dope. Like knowing how to take that low res element that is interesting. It's interesting,
Right.
but it's low resolution. You know, knowing like how to place that element into a song with other high resolution elements so that it has a vibe.
Gotcha.
And you know what I mean? And I think that's an art that you could only learn over time. There are songs on the Everything record where, you know, just to get an idea out, you know, I may record it on the voice recorder on the iPhone, and that same element is in the song.
Right.
Now, you know what I mean? That's put together with, you know, recording at, you know, some of the best studios in the world, and, you know, very, very high resolution elements put together with those, and they just seem to work well together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
My last question before we fully get into everything, because I do want to spend at least a decent chunk, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
This guy's got an album coming out.
Yeah.
It'll be out in a couple days. I'm going to release this one next Monday.
Gotcha.
This upcoming kind of followed a couple days after, because
Okay.
we only release on Mondays.
Gotcha.
I was ridiculous. When I first started podcasting, I thought I was putting out 7 episodes a week.
Yeah.
I've never once put out 7 episodes a week. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to do artists this day, you know, authors that day, business people, local stuff this day. And then I was like, this takes so much time to edit everything down and to
Yeah.
like actually make it into something that people would want to see. It's like once a week. Once a week is manageable.
Right,
Record it, kind of promote it for a couple of days, kind
Right,
of move on to
right.
the next project, and it allows
Right.
from creatively like to be able to like, all right, let me work on this type of editing style this time, or this type of tiles, or you know, kind of change it up each week.
Totally.
But I've been looking at your website the last couple minutes while you've been talking, and what makes the difference between a song being a Billboard top like you've had or a song that
Yeah.
flops? Is there anything that people can avoid, or is there any? Everybody's always looking for that shortcut, and I know well enough to know there is no shortcut. That Billboard Top 100 was, you know, years in the making.
Yeah.
But is there anything that makes it more commercially viable opposed to just art?
No, I think it's a matter of, a lot of these things are a spiritual conversation. You know, it's a combination of things. So you have the spiritual element that says, how bad do you believe what you want other people to believe? You know what I mean? It's like, are you playing the fucking lottery with your shit? Or do you really know that you're gonna win with your shit? Are you like, hey, I'm just gonna see if this is gonna work? Or are you like, it's gonna work? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so there's a little bit of that. It's like, how bad do you believe it? And then there's a little bit of like, potentially access to capital or the equivalent through relationship.
Yep.
You know, so it's either a conversation about things happen.
You want to learn one way to run a recording? Hit the door stopper.
Yeah, hit the door stopper for real.
But you never know. You might hear that and be like, that might be in the next project. I'm like, that's my door stopper.
Right, exactly. I'm just telling you, man. You know, we're gonna do a track with the door stopper to show people what I was talking about.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
That would be dope. But yeah, it's a combination of things. You know, number one, which I think people don't understand, is spiritual development. You know, you have to be at a point to where everything that you do is in line with your goal. Like, you gotta be obsessed. You know, that's the difference between me and a lot of people. Like, I'm obsessed. Like, man, listen, like, man, I work
Right.
all the time. See people who work 9 to 5s, like, they think that, and it's not like a really a
I know exactly where it's going. I love
comparative
it.
type of thing, but it's like, man, listen, I don't get off ever. I don't get off work. Like, I don't get off at 6. You know, it's like, if it's something that needs to be done,
You're going all night.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like I'm gonna get it done. So I think, you know, belief, having a really strong why. Like, why are you doing this? What, like, who are you doing this for? What are you working to make money? Or are you working to make a difference? Now, and that's a fundamental thing too. Like, before we even talk about like all the other stuff, man, I think that everyone thinks it's a shortcut. Like you said, there is no shortcut. It starts with you spiritually. However you get there, whether it's religion, yoga, you know, riding a bike, like I ride bike, you know what I mean? Like, whatever it is that gives you like that mental clarity to be able to identify like why you're doing what you're doing. Because for most people, they're like, well, I'm going to work. And it's like, well, why are you going to work? Well, because I got to work, right? And it's like, yeah, you got to work. Well, why are you going to work? It's like, well, because I got to pay bills, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool. So what's your day look like? Well, really, I count my day down.
Right.
And when you count your day down, you count your life down. it's like, oh man, yeah, man, can't wait till my lunch break. Oh man, can't wait till I get off. Can't wait till Friday. Can't
Right.
wait till the weekend. And then on Sunday, it's like, man, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's like you on this hamster wheel, just counting your whole life down. You know what I mean? Alternatively, you can dig deep into who you are. You know what your belief system is about fundamentally. What is your belief system?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And why you do shit. And so anyway,
I love where you're going with that.
I'll talk all day about that type of shit.
No, I love where you're going with that one though, because that's the same. Especially somebody like me. I mean, think about it. I make marketing campaigns. I do social media management. I make websites, and I'm in this office. I mean, we turn it into a studio now, but then I bring up all the papers and notebooks that are under the table, and it's back into the
Right,
marketing office.
right.
Like that thing right there.
Right.
The people that think I don't do
Right,
anything in a day,
right,
all of those
right,
things right there have to
right.
get done today.
Right.
Like there's a deadline on every one of those things
Right.
that's in green, and it's that way of people like, oh. Yeah, your wife goes to work and you stay home. That sounds great. You're like, yeah, but before she wakes up, I'm in here doing emails and making things, and then she goes to work, and then I'm still in here, and then she comes home, and guess what? I'm still in here. You know, unless I'm out at a
Right.
meeting or something like that, 9 to 5 guarantee.
Right.
Instead, I'm putting in 18 hours a day. I might have
Yeah.
made 100, I might have made 1,000, but the variance is all over. But you're like, oh, I'm just going to keep putting in hours because I love doing what I do. And you love doing what you do, making music. February 14th. Everything comes out.
February 14th.
Tell us everything we need to know about everything.
Everything, no pun intended, is
It's intended.
right. It's all intentional. It's by far the body of work that I'm most proud of, and simply because I did it my way. You know, obstacles and all. You know, I did it my way. I saw it through to the end against all odds, regardless of the haters, the people who didn't want me to finish it, the people who thought that like, yeah, you know, those first 2 hit records were an accident. You know what I mean. But everything is a record that really, for the lack of better terms, includes everything that I am. You know, as an artist, as a person, all of my experiences in life are represented through this record, with the platform being music and instruments and vocal performances and sounds and equalization and you know, compression and mastering techniques and it's just in there, man. It's a lot of magic. It's a lot of magic in there, you know. So when you listen to the songs, some people don't understand how many things are affecting them. You know, it's like I see people who watch a lot of TV, and I'm like, man, you have no idea how many ways you're being affected
Right.
by some of the things that you're watching. And that's intentional, that it's affecting you. But the
Right.
fact that you don't know, you know,
That means they did their job right.
yeah, it means, yeah. So, you know, the Everything record, you know, it was our goal, me and the collaborators, to just create a record that would be effective, and you know, I'm confident that we achieved that. It's beautiful, man. It's a really beautiful piece of work, man. I'm happy with it.
Absolutely. What happened on October 7th?
Whew. Damn, you asked all the good questions.
Chop that out. I'm making a montage, and probably either my anniversary. We got married April 20th last year, and my wife always says I never ask the right questions. Every
Yeah.
episode, I always get at least one of those. Like, woo, you asked the best questions. I'm making a montage for her to be like, told you I asked all the right
put
questions.
me in there.
Absolutely.
Put me in there.
So what happened October 7th?
So October 7th, I had an interaction with an individual who made me believe that you know, it was possible to love again, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and so instead of, you know, trying to be all super, you know, fancy about the writing of the song, I literally just let the song flow, and the first lyric that came out was October 7th was a good day. October 7th was a good day. I mean, really, October 7th was a good day. And you know, and it was, and I wrote a fucking song about it.
Right.
You know, like, so yeah, it was a good day, and it was a Paramount day, you know, and me, you know, deciding to be courageous, you know, which is how I live my life. But it was just a Paramount day, and applying that courageous dynamic to a separate, I guess, part of life.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
And there's 11 tracks on the project. You already have 2 of them kind of already out now. If somebody was only going to listen to one of them, they're only going to listen to one. Where do we send them?
Wow. If you're only going to listen to one song,
But one song's going to get us hooked to be like, all right, I need to hear the rest of it.
can I say 2, or it's got to be 1?
You got to say one, but then you can sneak that second one.
I can give an honorable mention.
Honorable mention. That's
Okay,
fair.
all right. I would say "Lose It All." If there's a song that you're gonna listen to be like, I want to hear more, it's gonna be "Lose It All." But the honorable mention is gonna be "Please Tell Me." But the truth is, either one of them could swap positions, and they would do the same thing.
You've got a track on there, I Am, which was also one of my favorites off the first project.
Yeah.
They're also both almost the same time. This one says 420, that's 428. Are they similar? Are they different? Does it just kind of show the growth from the first one to the second one?
Yeah, you know, I think that there's a great movie called Life of Pi, and anyone who hasn't seen that movie, you know, you should go see it, particularly if you're an entrepreneur and if you want to connect deeper to spirituality and faith and what that looks like. I would encourage you to check it out. But Ang Lee, who's the director of that film, talks about conquering a film in a way. So essentially he's saying the process of having an idea for a film in your head, and once it's completed, what you see come out on the other side coincides with what you had in your mind before you went into production. And I Am was a record where it was a very personal song to me, with it having attachments to my late mother, and other experiences that I've had abroad that were important to me. And it was important that the narrative be told in a way that the vision was given to me by God, you know what I mean? And I just never felt that the I Am record was presented in that way. So when I got with Scott Jacoby, which I'm sure we'll briefly talk about him, in New York, we started going through the songs that we were going to produce, and you know, his skill set, I was like, hey, let's put this one on there. And believe it or not, he and several other people, you know, they asked, you know, hey man, you know, the first version sounds good or whatever. And I said, man, you know, trust me, man. Like, I think us working together on this, we're gonna knock it out of the park. We're gonna make it what it was supposed to be in the first place.
Kind of like you said earlier in the interview, where you're kind of like, you know, I've got these and I keep them stored because one day you never know when this one's going to come to resurface and it'll be the time for it.
Yeah. So I'm excited about I Am. You know, I definitely just want to do my mother proud, and you know, just finish it the way that I always wanted to finish it. You know, I'm that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy. Like, if the idea is that we're gonna walk from here to New York City on foot, you know, I'm the guy that's gonna be like, all right, we can take as many breaks as y'all want to take, but we're not stopping until we get there,
right,
kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm that guy. So yeah, I put the song out, you know, earlier, but at the end of the day, in my heart of hearts, it wasn't what I really wanted. So yeah.
Gotcha. The last one I got before we wrap it down, because I know we're running low on time, is the video.
Music video?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've done a lot of music videos over the years. My first music video I shot on Coventry.
Nice.
A buddy of mine, Saeed, at the time owned this place called Bodega.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The most expensive but delicious chicken
Right.
wings you could ever have.
Exactly. Yeah. you know,
I remember that video. Now that you talk, now that you brought that memory back, that's one of those kind of just that little ball came right back. It's like I remember that now.
yeah.
But is it just are you not as focused on video? Do you just like the production of audio more than video?
No,
Kind of both.
No, I love both, man. I think that for me, you know, we were in a lot of talks about potentially doing a video album, which is something that we still might do.
I think that's a really underrated opportunity that a lot of people are really missing out.
Yeah. So, but with that in mind, you gotta have all the songs done first.
True. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like to plan. Is also why a lot of people miss out on that opportunity. But
Right.
like the way that everything's becoming such a visual streaming, you know, video pops up on your screen more than anything. Like I think that's especially anybody that's really making a story and kind of connecting it as an album, as you know, an album used to be. I think that's a really big missed opportunity. 2 ways I always end every interview, 2 or 3. Who are 2 or 3 people that I should talk to now that you know what the interviews process are about? Who do you think would perform well in this and more people should know about?
In this interview here?
In this type of interview.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's in person or via streaming or what have you.
Gotcha.
Who would do well in a format like this and has a great story to tell?
Gotcha. So in the near future, I think a good person would be an artist by the name of Ashley Shante, who's going to be one of the first artists on the record label. She's has tremendous vocal abilities, but she also just is a great person, man, and you know, and she's gonna do some amazing things in the industry. So I'm really excited about her, and she's got all the personality in the world, man.
Right.
You love to have her on. So she and she's an entrepreneur too. So
Right.
you know, the common denominator between a lot of the artists that I know and people that I would suggest to you is that they're not artists. They're left brain and right brain people,
Right.
Like me. You know what I'm
I think
saying?
that's why you and I click. Like I can't make music, but you know,
Right.
I know how to creatively see things or put together an image or a video
Yeah.
and things like that. Like my creative brain works in a separate way, but it's also that business brain that's like, I need you to make you work.
Right. Right. Now, do this together. And then I would say...
Is she coming to town with you? You have a performance in Cleveland in March, don't you?
Yeah, I got a show coming up in March. I'm glad you brought that up at Playhouse Square. It's going to be amazing. Ashley's actually going to be on the DC date with me.
Gotcha.
So she's not going to be coming to Cleveland. However, she did make it out to LA for me for Grammy weekend, and we did an amazing performance at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel for Grammy weekend. It was really dope, man. I was glad to have everybody on board for that. So the second person that I would suggest would be an artist by the name of Sanique.
Sanique?
Yeah, Sanique. She's out of Atlanta, and I really hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I think I am. But at any rate, she's done a lot of writing behind the scenes for a lot of big artists, and one of my dear friends who actually wrote on my record is working with her, and she's gonna be opening my show in Cleveland, actually.
Nice.
So I would suggest her. She's great, very well spoken, driven, very very clear direction of where she wants to go as an artist. So definitely would love to connect you with her.
Absolutely, yeah. Something, especially if she's going to be here in another month, we'll have it set up for sure.
Yeah.
The final 2 things is, what did we leave out of this interview that you think more people should know, or that you want to kind of bring to the world? Did we leave anything out?
Yeah,
I'm sure we left a ton out. I mean,
Yeah.
you try to pack your whole life into an hour, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
gotcha.
Anything pressing, you're like, I thought maybe we should have brought this up.
I think just something that I would want to say is that I just want to highlight, the importance of fans valuing music and music lovers valuing music to a level to where they'll actually pay for it. And I just think it's a conversation that needs to be had, because as lovers of music, we listen to it and we enjoy it. You know what I mean? And I just want to say to make the lives of the artists a little more manageable. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that as listeners, you know, we had to get into the habit of paying for music, even if we love to stream, right?
Right.
Even if it's convenient, even if, you know, we don't like, you know, creating our own playlists or whatever. And, you know, I think that we just need to have a conversation about valuing music to a point to you know, the same way we go to the club and we spend, you know, $10 on one drink.
Right.
You know, you can't tell me that music has the power to change your whole mood.
Right. And it's not worth $1 or
And
$2, whatever.
it's not worth you saying, all right, I'm gonna buy this whole record for, you know, $13.99.
Right. Totally.
You know what I mean? It's like, look, if you go to a bar, especially in New York or some other city, it's like, yeah, you get a cocktail for $12. You know what I'm saying? Right. If you tip $1 or $2, you know, it's $14 for a drink, which is something that it's not reciprocal. Like, it's not giving you anything back.
And it's gone in a half hour.
You know, it's gone. Right. You know what I mean? Whereas with the songs, it's like, look, these are songs that people have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into. And, you know, hopefully next time I come on, we can really dive into, you know, the process of everything and making a record, how long it took.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the logistics and the travel and the, you know, not specifically, but, you know, certain expenditures and things of that sort. So, yeah, man, it takes a lot to make music. You know what I mean? I just want the people to know that. I know that you guys love music and you love what us artists do. I just want to bring it into the conversation and into the fold of, like, if you love this music and you want to see artists continue to make it and be more comfortable while making it, we can give you even more music that's better, you know, if we didn't have to find 10 or 15 different ways to supplement.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The art, because at the end of the day, I believe that albums, you know, should be sold for like $50. You
Right.
know? I mean, that's what I believe. You know what I mean? I don't know how far that's gonna go, right. But you know what I mean. That's just kind of like what I believe when you look at the power of music, the influence of music, and music can literally change somebody's life.
Right.
Like it can change your life. You
And
know
not
what I
just the listener, the musician. Like, there's so many lives in that process that can be changed too.
Yeah.
Totally. People don't think music of art, but it's just
It is.
It's just a different medium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way I end every interview is we're gonna get you dead on the camera, and I call it the digital soapbox.
Got you.
You kind of killed it with what you did there, but you have to condense it this time because you only get a minute on your digital soapbox.
This is Antoine Dunn. I'm coming off of a great Grammy Award weekend performance at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. My brand new album, Everything, drops this Valentine's Day. And I would love for you guys to follow me. Some of my favorite songs off of the record, Lose It All. For all the ladies out there, all the lovers out there, Lose It All. If you don't have it, go get it. Check me out at HarveyMarieRecords.com. Follow me on Twitter at Antoine Dunn, on Instagram at I am Antoine Dunn. And when all else fails, just go to Google and type in Antoine Dunn, and make sure you check out that album, Everything. It's gonna be amazing.